The coffee in Captain Daehyun's mug had gone cold 3 hours ago. He stared at the displays surrounding his command chair, watching numbers that should not exist. His station, Sentinel-7, floated at the edge of the solar system where nothing interesting ever happened. For 15 years he had watched empty space. Today was different. "Run it again," he said to Dr. Yuna, who sat at the science console with her fingers dancing across holographic keys. "I've run it 6 times already," Yuna replied without looking up. Her voice carried the flat tone of someone who had stopped sleeping. "The results don't change. Something very large is out there, and it's slowing down." Lieutenant Taman leaned over her shoulder, his young face creased with confusion. "Ships don't slow down like that. Not from those speeds. The energy required would be impossible," Yuna finished. "Yes, I know. That's what makes this interesting." Daehyun stood and walked to the main view screen. Outside the reinforced windows, space looked the same as always. Black, empty, peaceful. But the sensors told a different story. Something massive had appeared at the heliopause, the boundary where the sun's influence ended and true interstellar space began. It had been moving at nearly light speed, crossing the galaxy for who knew how long. Then 3 days ago it started to break. "Show me the enhanced image," Daehyun ordered. The screen flickered. A computer-generated shape appeared, built from radar returns and gravitational measurements. It looked wrong. Too smooth. Too symmetrical. And far too big. "Is that to scale?" Taman asked quietly. "Yes," Yuna said. She pulled up Earth's moon for comparison. The object was larger. Whatever that is, it's roughly the size of Luna, and it's heading toward us. The command deck fell silent. Daehyun heard the hum of life support, the beep of monitors, the breath of his crew. He had trained for many scenarios: equipment failures, solar events, even hostile encounters with pirates or rogue nations, but this? "No training covered this. Have we received any response to our hails?" he asked. "Nothing," the communications officer replied. "We've broadcast on every known frequency. Radio, laser, quantum entanglement channels. If someone's aboard that thing, they're not talking to us." Daehyun returned to his chair. "Calculate its trajectory." "Where is it going?" Yuna's fingers flew. Numbers scrolled across her screen. She stopped typing. Her hand froze in midair. "Oh no, what?" "It's going to Earth, not near Earth, not past Earth, directly to Earth orbit." "Arrival time." She swallowed hard. 47 days, Taman grabbed the edge of the console. "That can't be right. How could it know where Earth would be in 47 days? Orbital mechanics, planetary positions." "It knows," Yuna interrupted. "The trajectory is perfect. Too perfect. This thing has been calculating Earth's position for a very long time. Decades, maybe centuries." Daehyun felt ice in his stomach. He had served in space long enough to understand what this meant. Random objects didn't aim themselves at planets with this precision. Natural phenomena didn't slow down at exactly the right moment. This was intentional. This was planned. "Send an emergency burst to Earth Defense Command," he ordered. "Priority Alpha. Tell them we have a situation." The communications officer nodded and began encoding the message. It would take hours to reach Earth, even traveling at light speed. The distance was too great for real-time conversation. They were alone out here with whatever was approaching. "I want continuous scans," Daehyun continued. "Every sensor we have focused on that object. Temperature, radiation, gravitational fluctuations, anything unusual." "Everything about it is unusual," Yuna muttered. But she adjusted the sensors anyway. Over the next hour, data accumulated. The object's hull seemed to absorb most scanning attempts. What little information came back made no sense. The outer shell appeared to be made of materials that human science said could not exist. Elements too heavy. Molecular structures too complex. The object radiated no heat despite clearly using enormous power to decelerate. "It's like trying to scan a black hole," Yuna said. "But black holes follow rules we understand. This doesn't." Taman pulled up historical archives searching for similar events. He found nothing. Humanity had been watching the stars for centuries. They had mapped thousands of systems. They had found ruins on Mars. They had discovered microbial life on Europa. But they had never found proof of advanced alien intelligence. "Until now, Captain," the communications officer called out, "we're receiving acknowledgement from Earth Defense Command. They're activating the full defense network. Every ship. Every station. They want us to maintain position and continue monitoring. Did they say anything else? Yes, sir. They said stay calm and don't do anything to provoke it. Daehyun almost laughed. Provoke it with what? Sentinel-7 was a monitoring station, not a warship. They had no weapons beyond basic point defense lasers meant for clearing space debris. If that thing out there wanted to hurt them, there was nothing they could do to stop it. Run a deep scan, he said. I want to know if that object is a ship, a weapon, or something else entirely. Yuna initiated the scan. It took 30 minutes. When the results appeared, she stared at them for a long time before speaking. It's a ship, she said slowly. Or it was. The internal structure shows corridors, chambers, what might be engineering sections. But there's something strange about the age. Strange how? The cosmic radiation patterns on the hull suggest it's been traveling through space for approximately 50,000 years. The number hung in the air like a curse. 50,000 years. When that ship began its journey, humans were still learning to make fire. They lived in caves. They had barely discovered agriculture. And something out there in the galaxy was already crossing the void between stars. Taemin broke the silence. If it's that old, maybe there's nobody aboard. Maybe it's just a derelict drifting through space. Derelicts don't break, Yuna said. Derelicts don't aim themselves at planets. Something aboard that ship is still functioning. Still thinking. Still planning. Daehyun looked at the image on the screen. The massive object hung in space, silent and terrible. 47 days. That was all the time humanity had to figure out what was approaching and what it wanted. He thought about Earth, about the billions of people going about their lives not knowing that something ancient and powerful had come to visit. Get me everything, he said. Every measurement. Every data point. If that thing changes course by even a fraction of a degree, I want to know immediately. His crew worked through the night, and in the depths of space, the ancient ship continued its patient journey toward Earth, maintaining its perfect trajectory with the confidence of something that had done this many times before. Premier Ji-won stood at the tall windows of the United Earth Parliament building, watching the city below. Geneva sprawled beneath her, its towers gleaming in the afternoon sun. Everything looked normal. People moved through the streets. Cars flew between buildings. Life continued as it always had. But Ji-won knew the truth. In 44 days, everything might end. Behind her, the Parliament chamber buzzed with urgent conversations. Representatives from every nation had gathered for an emergency session. The news about the approaching object had leaked despite all attempts to keep it secret. Panic was spreading across the world like wildfire. We need to make a decision, Admiral Hyun-woo said, his voice cutting through the noise. He was a tall man with gray hair and hard eyes. He had spent his entire life in the military, fighting pirates and protecting Earth's colonies. Every hour we delay is an hour we could be preparing our defenses. Ambassador Sung-ho shook his head. He was older than the admiral, with kind eyes and gentle hands. Defenses? Against what? We don't even know if this object is hostile. Our first action should be communication, not aggression. Communication? Hyun-woo's face turned red. We've been trying to communicate for days. It ignores us. What more proof do you need? Ji-won turned from the window. Gentlemen, please. We need facts before we make decisions. Dr. Yuna, please present your findings. Yuna stepped forward, looking uncomfortable in the formal setting. She preferred laboratories to political chambers. A holographic display appeared above the center table, showing the alien ship in 3 dimensions. This object is approximately 3,000 kilometers in diameter, she began. Our scans suggest it's partly biological and partly mechanical. The hull is composed of materials we cannot identify. It's been traveling through space for at least 50,000 years based on radiation exposure patterns. A representative from the Asian coalition raised her hand. 50,000 years? How is that possible? Nothing could survive that long in space. We don't know, Yuna admitted. But the evidence is clear. This ship is ancient. It predates human civilization by tens of thousands of years. What about its intentions? Ji-won asked. Yuna hesitated. 3 hours ago, we detected a change. The ship adjusted its course slightly. It's no longer heading for Earth orbit. It's heading directly for Earth itself. The chamber erupted in shouts. Representatives jumped to their feet. Some demanded immediate military action. Others called for evacuation. Ji-won raised her hand for silence, but it took several minutes before order returned. Can we stop it? She asked Hyun-woo directly. The Admiral pulled up tactical displays. Red and blue icons filled the hologram, showing Earth's defensive network, orbital platforms, battle cruisers, missile stations, laser arrays. It looked impressive. Humanity had built a strong military over the past century. "I've run every scenario," Hyunwoo said quietly. "Nuclear strikes, kinetic bombardment, directed energy weapons. Our best analysis suggests nothing we have can penetrate that hull. The ship's mass alone gives it incredible momentum. Even if we could damage it, we can't stop it from reaching Earth." Silence fell over the chamber like a heavy blanket. Ji-won felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on her shoulders. Billions of people looked to her for leadership and she had no good options. "What if it's not a warship?" Sung-ho suggested. "What if it's an explorer? A science vessel? We should try harder to communicate." "With what?" Hyunwoo snapped. "We've tried every method we know, radio, laser, even primitive mathematics. Nothing works." "Then we try something new," Sung-ho insisted. "We send a ship to meet it. A diplomatic vessel with representatives from all nations. We show them we come in peace. Or we show them we're weak," Hyunwoo countered. "Any species that can build a ship like that is far beyond us technologically. If they're hostile, weakness will only encourage them." Yuna cleared her throat. "There's another possibility. What if the ship is automated? What if its creators are long dead?" The suggestion caught everyone's attention. Ji-won gestured for her to continue. "Think about it," Yuna said. 50,000 years is a very long time. Civilizations rise and fall. Stars die. Perhaps this ship was launched millennia ago by a species that no longer exists. It might be following old programming, unable to respond to our hails because there's nobody aboard to answer." "A ghost ship," Sung-ho said softly. "Exactly. Which means it might not be hostile at all. It might just be lost," Hyunwoo crossed his arms. "Or it might be a weapon. An automated doomsday device sent to destroy other civilizations. We can't take that risk." Ji-won walked to the holographic display and studied the alien ship. Its smooth surface reflected starlight like polished metal. No windows. No obvious weapons. No markings. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. "We prepare for both scenarios," she announced. "Ambassador Sung-ho, you will lead a diplomatic mission. Select your team carefully. Scientists, linguists, artists. Show this ship the best of humanity. Perhaps they'll respond to something other than mathematics." Sung-ho bowed his head. "Thank you, Premier. Admiral Hyunwoo, you will prepare our military forces, but you will not attack unless I give the direct order. We defend only if attacked first. Is that clear?" The Admiral's jaw tightened, but he nodded. "Yes, Premier. Dr. Yuna, I want you to continue analyzing that ship. Find its weaknesses. Find its purpose. Find anything that might help us understand it." "I'll do my best," Yuna said. The session continued for hours. Representatives debated evacuation plans. Some suggested moving people underground. Others wanted to send colony ships away from Earth, preserving humanity even if the homeworld fell. Religious leaders spoke about faith and destiny. Scientists proposed impossible technologies. Everyone had opinions. Nobody had answers. When the sun set, Ji-won dismissed the assembly. She remained in the chamber alone, staring at the hologram of the alien ship. Her assistant brought her tea, but it grew cold as she stood there thinking. A message alert blinked on her communicator. It was from Sentinel-7, the monitoring station at the edge of the solar system. She opened it. The message was short. "Premier Ji-won, the ship changed course again. It's not drifting. It's navigating. Whatever is aboard that vessel is alive and aware. It knows we're here, and it's coming anyway." "Captain Dae-hyun," Ji-won closed her eyes. "A ghost ship would have been easier to handle, but this was first contact with an intelligence that had mastered space travel before humans learned to write. And they had no idea if it came as friend or destroyer." She looked out the window at the city below. People were leaving restaurants. Children played in parks. Lights glowed in apartment windows. Normal life continued, ignorant of the approaching storm. "Enjoy these days," she whispered to the city. "They may be our last peaceful ones." She turned and left the chamber, her footsteps echoing in the empty hall. Tomorrow she would address the world. Tomorrow she would try to keep billions of people calm while an alien ship crossed their solar system. Tomorrow she would pretend to have answers she didn't possess. But tonight, just for a moment, she allowed herself to feel the fear that gripped her heart. Because in 43 days everything would change. One way or another, Humanity's future would be decided by whatever dwelled inside that ancient vessel approaching from the darkness between stars. Jason rubbed his tired eyes and looked at the screen again. Numbers filled his vision, patterns that almost made sense but didn't quite connect. He had been working for 18 hours straight, trying to decode the signals coming from the alien ship. His small office in the cryptography department felt like a prison. "Come on," he muttered to himself. "Talk to me. Tell me what you want." The alien ship had started broadcasting 2 days ago, not with radio waves or lasers, but with gravitational pulses, tiny ripples in space-time that Earth's most sensitive detectors barely noticed. At first, everyone thought it was just the ship's engines. But Jay soon saw patterns, repetition, structure. It was a message. He had assembled a team of the world's best mathematicians and physicists. They worked around the clock, trying to understand an alien language created by minds utterly different from their own. How did you talk to something that didn't think like you? That didn't share your history or culture or biology? The answer, Jay soon realized, was through universal truths, mathematics, physics, the fundamental laws that governed all of reality. "I've got something," called out Dr. Bora from across the lab. She was a physicist who specialized in quantum mechanics. Her hair stuck up in wild directions from running her hands through it repeatedly. Jay's son rushed to her station. "What is it?" Bora pointed at a graph showing wave patterns. "These gravitational pulses. They're not random. Look at the intervals. Prime numbers. 2, 3, 5, 7, 11. It's counting. Counting what? I don't know yet. But it's definitely mathematical. This is how we announced ourselves to the universe decades ago. We sent out prime number sequences hoping aliens would recognize intelligence. Now something is doing the same thing to us." Jason felt excitement surge through his exhaustion. "Can you decode more?" They worked together, isolating different frequencies. Slowly a picture emerged. The alien ship was broadcasting complex mathematical formulas, not just simple counting but advanced physics equations. And hidden within those equations were concepts, ideas, almost like words. After 6 more hours, Jay soon assembled the full message. His hands shook as he read it. The message contained 3 concepts repeated over and over: catalog, harvest, renewal. What does that mean? Bora asked. Jason didn't answer. He immediately called Dr. Yuna, who was coordinating all scientific analysis of the alien ship. Yuna arrived within the hour, looking as exhausted as everyone else. She read the translation and went pale. "Send this to Premier G1 immediately," she said, "and get me access to the deep space archives. All of them. Historical data going back as far as we have records." While the message went to Earth's leaders, Yuna commandeered the lab's main computer. She pulled up astronomical data from thousands of observations. She was looking for something specific, though she wouldn't tell anyone what. "There," she said after hours of searching. She displayed an image on the main screen. It showed a distant galaxy photographed 50 years ago. And there, she showed multiple images. Each one showed star systems that had once been bright but were now dark. Dead zones scattered across the galaxy where civilizations should have existed but didn't. "I don't understand," Jason said. "These systems all showed signs of advanced technology," Yuna explained. "Radio emissions, light pollution, heat signatures, the hallmarks of spacefaring civilizations. Then suddenly they went dark. We always assumed natural disasters, supernovas, gamma-ray bursts. But what if it was something else?" Bora understood first. Her face went white. "You think something harvested them?" "Every 50,000 years, Yuna said quietly. "I've been analyzing the timeline. These die-offs happen in cycles, regular intervals. And we're due." Jason felt sick. "The ship. It's not here to explore. It's here to harvest," Yuna finished. Whatever that means. She pulled up more data. Ancient cave paintings from Earth's prehistoric past. They had been discovered decades ago but dismissed as primitive art. The images showed a massive object in the sky, and below it humans hiding in caves, fleeing underground. 50,000 years ago, Yuna said. "The last time this ship passed through our solar system, humans survived because we were primitive. We lived underground naturally. We didn't have cities or technology to attract attention. We were beneath notice. But now we're not," Jason said. "Now we broadcast into space. We light up the night. We split atoms and bend space-time. We're exactly the kind of civilization this ship was designed to find. Bora sank into a chair. How do we fight something like that? We don't, Yuna said. Our weapons are nothing compared to theirs. They've been traveling the galaxy for millions of years, culling civilizations before they can spread too far. We're not the first. We won't be the last. Jason refused to accept that. There has to be a way. Those other civilizations, they must have tried to stop it. Did any succeed? Yuna searched through the data. Most dead zones were completely silent, but one system showed something unusual, a pattern in its final transmissions before going dark. They tried to hide, she said, displaying the data. This civilization shut down all their technology, stopped broadcasting, made themselves invisible. The ship searched for 3 months, then left. Did it work? Bora asked for a while, but the ship came back 200 years later. And that time the civilization was gone for good. So hiding only delays it, Jason said. What else? They spent the rest of the night analyzing humanity's options. None of them were good. They could fight and die quickly. They could hide and die slowly. They could run and die eventually. The alien ship was patient. It had time. Humanity didn't. As dawn broke, Yuna received a call from Captain Daehyun at Sentinel-7. The ship just released smaller craft, he reported. Dozens of them. They're spreading out across the solar system. Scanning everything, planets, moons, asteroids. They're cataloging the entire system. Looking for us, Yuna said. More than that, they're scanning for all life, all technology, anything that might be valuable to harvest. After the call ended, Yuna gathered her team. We need to tell the Premier everything. She needs to know what we're facing. Will she listen? Bora asked. She has to. Because in 28 days that ship will be close enough to begin whatever process it uses for harvesting. And if we haven't found a solution by then, human civilization will be added to the list of dead. Systems scattered across the galaxy. Jason looked at the translation of the alien message one more time. Catalog, harvest, renewal. 3 simple concepts that spelled doom for his entire species. There's one thing I don't, understand, he said. Renewal. What does that mean? Why catalog and harvest but then renew? Yuna had been wondering the same thing. Maybe they're not destroyers. Maybe they're gardeners. Gardeners? Think about it. You catalog plants. You harvest crops. Then you renew the soil for the next planting. What if that's what they're doing? Managing the galaxy like a garden. Preventing any one species from growing too large. Keeping everything in balance. That's insane, Bora said. Is it? We do the same thing with our own ecosystems. We manage populations. We prevent invasive species from taking over. From their perspective, we might be the invasive species threatening the galactic garden. Jason shook his head. I don't care about their perspective. I care about survival. And we have less than a month to figure out how to survive. Something that has successfully harvested hundreds of civilizations across millions of years. They sent their findings to the Premier and to Admiral Hyunwoo, and to every scientist on Earth. The message spread quickly. Within hours, the world knew the truth. The approaching ship was not a visitor. It was an executioner, and humanity's time was running out. Admiral Hyunwoo watched the test results with growing frustration. On the screen before him, Earth's most powerful weapon struck a simulated target with the same properties as the alien harvester's hull. Nuclear missiles detonated in brilliant flashes. Laser arrays burned at temperatures hotter than stars. Kinetic projectiles traveling at a fraction of light speed slammed into the target. Nothing worked. Every weapon humanity had developed over centuries of warfare failed to penetrate the harvester's shields. Run it again, he ordered. Increase power by 20%. His tactical officer, a young woman named Hana, shook her head. Sir, we're already at maximum safe levels. Push any harder and we'll damage our own systems. Then we push harder anyway. I don't care about safe. I care about effective. The test ran again. Same results. The simulated target remained intact. Hyunwoo slammed his fist on the console. There has to be a way. Nothing is invulnerable. Everything has a weakness. Not everything, said a voice from the doorway. Kwansik entered the command center carrying a datapad. He was a civilian engineer who designed experimental weapons for the military. His reputation for unorthodox thinking had earned him a place on the crisis team. What do you want? Hyunwoo asked sharply. To save your life, and everyone else's. Kwansik activated his datapad, projecting designs into the air. You're approaching this wrong. You're trying to break through their technology with brute force. That's not going to work. Then what will? Thinking like them. Or rather, thinking about how old they are. Kwansik pulled up the Harvester's estimated age. This ship has been operating for millions of years. It's ancient, which means its systems, no matter how advanced, are based on old principles, old protocols, old assumptions. Hyunwoo leaned forward. Explain. Imagine you're a civilization creating these harvesters. You want them to last forever, right? So you make them conservative, predictable. They follow rules. They can't adapt or innovate because innovation introduces risk. Risk leads to failure, so they're programmed to do the same thing over and over, perfectly for millions of years. Which helps us how? Kwansik smiled. Because predictable means exploitable. We can't break their shields. But maybe we don't need to. Maybe we can confuse them instead. He outlined his plan. It was crazy. It was desperate. And it was the only option they had. The plan required getting close to the harvester. Very close, which meant someone had to board it. Captain Dae-hyun volunteered immediately. I'll lead the team, he said when Hyunwoo briefed him on the plan. They were communicating over a secure channel, Dae-hyun still at Sentinel-7 while Hyunwoo coordinated from Earth. You understand this is likely a one-way mission, Hyunwoo said. I understand, but someone has to do it, and I've been watching that thing longer than anyone else. I know its patterns. Lieutenant Taemin insisted on joining. You'll need a pilot, sir. I'm the best you have. Dae-hyun tried to argue, but Taemin wouldn't back down. In the end, they assembled a team of 12. Scientists, engineers, soldiers, all volunteers. All knowing they might not return, they equipped themselves with stealth pods, small craft designed to avoid detection. The pods had minimal engines and hulls coated with materials that absorbed scanning beams. They would drift toward the harvester like debris, hoping to reach it before being noticed. Dr. Yuna worked on the most important part of the mission, the virus. Not a biological virus, but a digital one. A piece of code designed to infiltrate the harvester's systems and make Earth invisible to its sensors. The virus won't destroy it, she explained to the team during their briefing. That's impossible. But it will inject false data into its catalog. It will make Earth look like a dead world. No life, no technology, nothing worth harvesting. Will it work? Dae-hyun asked. I have no idea, Yuna admitted. I'm writing code for a computer system designed by aliens millions of years ago. I'm guessing at their programming languages, their logic structures, their protocols. But it's our best chance. 5 days before the harvester reached Earth orbit, the team launched. Their stealth pods drifted away from Sentinel-7, following carefully calculated trajectories. The harvester's smaller scout ships patrolled the area, scanning constantly. The team had to time their approach perfectly, slipping through gaps in the patrol patterns. Taemin piloted the lead pod with Dae-hyun beside him. The journey took 3 days. They floated through space, powered systems shut down to avoid detection. Inside the cramped pods, they could do nothing but wait and hope. Do you think we'll make it? Taemin asked on the second day. Dae-hyun stared out the small viewport at the harvester growing larger ahead. I think we have to. There's no plan B. What do you think it looks like inside? I try not to imagine. Every scenario I picture gives me nightmares. They were close enough now to see details on the harvester's hull. Vast, smooth surfaces interrupted by strange geometric patterns. Ports that might be docking bays or weapons or something humans had no words for. The ship's size became oppressive. They were insects approaching a mountain. On the third day, they reached the hull. Their scanning equipment found what looked like a maintenance port, a circular opening about 10 meters wide. The metal around it was scarred and ancient, showing damage from millions of years in space. This is it, Dae-hyun said. He signaled the other pods. All 12 made it. All 12 survived the approach. They attached their pods to the hull using magnetic clamps and put on their suits. When they opened the maintenance port, they expected alarms, defenses, something to stop intruders. Nothing happened. The port opened easily as if it had been waiting for them. Inside, the harvester was vast beyond comprehension. Corridors stretched in every direction, disappearing into darkness. The walls had an organic quality, more grown than built. Strange lights pulsed in patterns that hurt to watch. Stay together, Dae-hyun ordered. We follow Yuna's map to the central processing node. The map was based on scans and guesswork. But they had no choice except to trust it. They moved through the corridors, seeing things that didn't make sense. Chambers filled with floating spheres that might be storage or weapons or something else entirely. Walls that rippled like water when touched. Sounds that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere in bodies, or what remained of them. In one vast chamber, they found preserved remains of thousands of creatures. Not human. Not anything from Earth. These were aliens from other worlds. Other civilizations, all dead. All cataloged and stored like specimens in a museum. This is what harvesting means, Taemin whispered. They don't just destroy civilizations. They collect them. Daehyun felt sick. But they had to continue. They descended deeper into the harvester, following Yuna's map toward what should be the central control system. That's when they discovered they weren't alone. Something moved in the shadows ahead. Not a machine. Not quite alive. Something in between. A figure emerged into the light. It was tall and thin with too many joints. Its skin was translucent, showing circuits and organs beneath. When it spoke, the words came directly into their minds, bypassing their ears. You should not be here, it said. But I am glad you came. I have been waiting so very long for someone to find me. Daehyun raised his weapon, but the creature made no threatening moves. It simply stood there, ancient and sad. Who are you? Daehyun asked. I am what remains of the last civilization that tried to stop this ship. I am a witness. A prisoner. A warning that came too late. The creature gestured deeper into the harvester. Come. If you wish to save your world, I will help you. But you must hurry. The harvesting will begin in 42 hours. And once it starts, nothing can stop it. Daehyun looked at his team. They were terrified, but they had come too far to turn back now. Lead the way, he said to the creature. They followed the witness into the heart of the harvester, where the truth about the galaxy's dark cycle waited to be discovered. The witness led them through corridors that seemed to shift and change. Daehyun tried to keep track of their path, but the harvester's interior defied normal geometry. Spaces that should connect didn't. Distances that looked short took hours to cross. It was as if the ship existed partly in their reality and partly somewhere else. How long have you been here? Taemin asked the creature. 30,000 of your years, the witness replied. Its mental voice carried an echo of profound loneliness. I was a scientist when the harvester came to my world. I thought I could stop it by boarding it, like you. I thought I could disable it from within. I failed, but you survived, Daehyun said. Survival is not the same as living. The harvester keeps me alive to maintain its records. I am a living archive of my species, the only proof we ever existed. They entered a massive chamber. At its center stood a pillar of light that extended from floor to ceiling. The light pulsed with information, streams of data flowing through it like blood through veins. The central node, the witness said. Every decision the harvester makes flows through here. Every world it has cataloged. Every species it has harvested. Everything is recorded in that light. Daehyun activated his communicator. Dr. Yuna, we've reached the target. Can you upload the virus from here? Yuna's voice came through, filled with static. Yes, there should be an interface somewhere nearby. Physical or wireless. The virus is ready when you are. One of the engineers, a man named Ki-Wan, began scanning the chamber. Found it. There's a connection port on the pillar itself. But there's a problem. What problem? Daehyun asked. The system is analyzing the virus in real time. It's adapting its defenses. By the time we finish uploading, it will have developed countermeasures. The witness made a sound like wind through empty buildings. The harvester cannot be deceived. It has seen every trick, every strategy. Thousands of civilizations have tried what you are attempting. All have failed. Daehyun felt desperation clawing at him. They had come so far, sacrificed so much. There has to be something we can do. There is, the witness said. But you will not like it. Tell us. The harvester follows protocols established by its creators, the progenitors. These protocols are absolute. They cannot be changed or ignored. The harvester must catalog, must harvest, must renew. It has no choice, and then how does that help us? Taemin demanded. The protocols define what qualifies as a harvestable civilization. Young species, aggressive species, species that consume resources without wisdom, species that will spread across the galaxy like disease if left unchecked. The progenitors feared galactic overcrowding. They feared war, so they created the harvesters to maintain balance, to prune the garden before weeds could strangle it. Daehyun understood. and humans fit that definition perfectly. We're young. We're expanding into space. We're consuming our solar system's resources. We're exactly what the progenitors wanted to prevent. Yes, but there is one exception written into the protocols. One category of civilization the Harvester must not touch. What category? Species that have transcended their original nature. Species that have proven they can live in harmony with the galaxy. Species that no longer pose a threat to the cosmic balance. The progenitors called them the Ascended. If the Harvester classifies you as Ascended, it will leave you alone. Permanently. Kiwan shook his head. But we're not Ascended. We're barely space-capable. We still fight wars. We still damage our environment. How can we possibly convince it we've transcended? You cannot, the witness said. Not in truth. But you can confuse it. You can flood its systems with data that contradicts its expectations. Make it uncertain. Make it question its classification of your species. Force it to pause and reconsider. Daehyun contacted Yuna again. Change of plans. We're not hiding Earth. We're overwhelming the Harvester with information about humanity, everything, our history, our culture, our art, our wars, our peace, our triumphs and our failures. All of it. That's the opposite of what we planned, Yuna said. We'll be exposing ourselves completely. That's the point. We show them we're complicated, unpredictable. We don't fit their neat categories. We're not just another young civilization to be culled. We're something they haven't seen before. The witness seemed to approve. Yes, this might work. The Harvester seeks order, simplicity. You will give it chaos, complexity. You will be a paradox it cannot easily resolve. The team worked quickly. They connected every data storage device they had to the central node. Yuna transmitted humanity's entire digital archive from Earth. History files, music, movies, scientific papers, social media, news reports, personal journals. Billions of individual human stories all flowing into the Harvester at once. The pillar of light flickered. The steady pulse became erratic. The Harvester was processing more data than it had ever received from a single species. It's working, Kiwan said. The system is slowing down. It can't process everything fast enough. But then alarms began to sound throughout the ship. The witness tensed. It has made a decision. It cannot classify you. You are too contradictory, too chaotic, so it will default to its base protocol. Destroy the anomaly. How long do we have? Daehyun asked. Minutes. Maybe less. The Harvester will deploy its weapons. Earth will be sterilized completely. Nothing will survive. Taemin looked at Daehyun. We failed. No, Daehyun said firmly. He opened a channel to Earth, to Admiral Hyunwoo, to Premier Ji-won, to everyone. This is Captain Daehyun. Earth, we need you to do something insane. We need every ship, every satellite, every station. Form a defensive sphere around the planet. Not to fight. To demonstrate. To demonstrate what? Ji-won's voice came back. Unity. Organization. Purpose. Show the Harvester we're not a chaotic young species. Show them we can work together. That we have structure. That we have moved beyond simple expansion and aggression. Make them see we're different. There was a moment of silence. Then Ji-won spoke with absolute authority. All ships. All stations. Form defensive sphere Delta 7 around Earth. Do it now. This is not a request. This is a command. Across Earth's orbital space, hundreds of vessels began moving. Military ships, civilian transports, research stations. They organized themselves into a perfect geometric pattern, a sphere of human achievement surrounding their homeworld. Inside the Harvester, the pillar of light pulsed faster. The witness watched it carefully. It's analyzing the formation, comparing it to historical data. No species at your technological level has ever displayed this level of coordination this quickly. You're confusing it further, is that good? Taemin asked. I don't know. The Harvester has never been confused before. Hours passed. The team waited in the chamber, not knowing if they would live or die. The Harvester's weapons charged, but they didn't fire. The system was locked in an internal conflict. Its protocols demanded action, but its analysis couldn't determine what action was appropriate. Finally, the light pillar turned a different color, from blue to orange to green. The witness gasped. What is it? Daehyun demanded. It has made a decision. It has classified humanity as unresolved exception, a new category, something it cannot process with its current protocols. It requires guidance from the progenitors. But the progenitors are gone, aren't they? Yes, they vanished millions of years ago. The harvesters have been operating autonomously ever since, following old orders. But this one now realizes it faces a situation its creators never anticipated. It must wait for instructions that will never come. The alarms stopped. The weapon systems powered down. Slowly, impossibly, the massive harvester began to change course. It was leaving. It's going into hibernation mode, the witness said. It will wait for the progenitors. And while it waits, it will not harm Earth. You have won, not by defeating it, but by being too strange to fit its understanding of the universe. Dae-hyun felt his legs give out. He sat down hard on the metal floor. Around him, his team erupted in relieved laughter and tears. We need to leave, he said after a moment, before it changes its mind. The witness led them back to their entry point. At the maintenance port, Dae-hyun turned to the creature. Come with us. You don't have to stay here. I must. Someone needs to remain. To warn others. The harvesters will not stop with your world. There are more out there. More civilizations that will need help. I will stay and try to guide them as I have guided you. Will we see you again? Perhaps. In another 50,000 years when the cycle repeats. Try to be ready. The team escaped to their pods and launched. Behind them, the harvester slowly withdrew from Earth's solar system. It moved ponderously, its ancient engines pushing it back toward deep space. On Earth, celebrations erupted. People danced in the streets. Leaders declared a new era for humanity. Premier Ji-won addressed the world, speaking of unity and purpose and the strength that came from working together. But in a small observation room, Dr. Yuna and Captain Dae-hyun watched a different screen. It showed a signal detected from 300 light-years away. Another harvester, approaching a different star system. A different civilization. We should warn them, Dae-hyun said quietly. How? We barely understand the harvesters ourselves. And we got lucky. Another species might not. We have to try. That's what humans do, isn't it? We survived. Now we help others survive too. Yuna smiled. It was a tired smile, but genuine.